Hello and welcome to Uni Tunes, the podcast where Archie and I interview Sydney's freshest musical talent. And today we're really excited to be joined by Gabe from Before the King. He's the drummer of a four-piece indie rock band from right here in Sydney's inner west. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Good morning, guys.
Morning. Before we begin, we acknowledge and pay respect to the traditional custodians of the lands on which we broadcast, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and we pay our respect to the knowledge embedded forever within the Aboriginal custodianship of country. Sovereignty was never ceded. Australia always was and always will be Aboriginal land.
So, Gabe, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and your band?
Yep, for sure. So, I'm Gabe. I'm the drummer, as you mentioned. We have been a band for about 8 years now. Dan, the bassist, and Dean, the lead singer and guitarist, and I were all in high school together. And we started jamming one day in music rooms, and we sort of felt like we had something special there. And the rest is history. We've been going since then.
Yeah, wow, and you really do have something special.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, and it's just, if nothing else, it's just really nice sort of playing music with your best friends and sort of feeling like you have a really unique musical chemistry with people. So that is really nice.
We like to begin all our episodes with some rapid fire questions. So just about you and your world of music. So to begin, who would be your favorite artist right now?
My favorite artist right now, I would have to say The Strokes, and I'm fairly sure that if you asked any of the other members of the band, they'd probably say the same.
Nice.
They're our number one.
Yeah, I was going to say, actually, you have a similar sound to The Strokes in a couple of your songs.
Certainly are probably our biggest influence. And yeah, we're sort of don't really hide that a lot of the time, but no, they're our number one.
It's definitely a good thing.
They're a great band to be influenced by, definitely.
For sure, yeah.
What would you say is your music guilty pleasure?
Ooh, my music guilty pleasure. That's a good question. Um, Sorry, I'm blanking on this. I don't apologize for a lot of the music that I listen to, but I suppose something that I guess you wouldn't really expect an indie rock drummer to be listening to. I'm South African of origin, and so I will listen to a lot of South African hip hop coming out of there at the moment, and yeah, I'd say that's, if not my guilty pleasure, certainly something that you wouldn't usually pick. I guess that I would listen to.
Yeah, fair. Do you have a music unpopular opinion?
Okay, a music unpopular opinion. I have several, and I will defend my opinion strongly, no matter no matter who comes at me for them. Just one that I was discussing the other day. I was discussing Sergeant Pepper's with our lead singer Dean, and we were discussing what the worst track on the album is, which in and itself is a hot take because such a perfect album like that you can't exactly pick a weak track. But I was saying it was She's Leaving Home, and he was arguing with me. He was saying Lovely Rita, but I guess, yeah, if you were to ask for an unpopular opinion, She's Leaving Home, worst track on Sgt. Pepper's, one of the worst Beatles songs. Come at me.
We often have some strong opinions on the Beatles on the show.
Is that right?
Personally, I'm of the opinion that the Mr. Kite song, worst song on the track. But anyways,
is that right? Is that right? Well,
yes.
Interesting. To agree to disagree, I suppose.
Yeah.
The Beatles seems to always pop up when we ask about unpopular opinions, but
yeah.
Has anyone come in and just straight up said, "Oh, the Beatles are overrated. You know, can't stand them."
Oh, all the time.
I think we have heard that. Yeah, unfortunately,
It's
neither of us agree with that. That is a very unpopular opinion, and it should be unpopular because it's wrong.
It is objectively wrong. But I would like to find these people who have come on your show and said that, and gonna have words with them.
Explain your band's sound in 3 words.
All right. Summer, I'd say, is one. Summer, garage. I know that's sort of more of a genre term, but there's sort of more to it than just the kind of like when you think of garage as in like garage rock, I'd say, yeah, garage is one. And summer garage, catchy. I know it's a sort of, it seems like a bit of a, immodest thing to say, but that is sort of, it's what we aim for, I think.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of tracks on your brand new album, or EP, which we'll talk about in a bit, which are very catchy, and I've had stuck in my head for a while now. To round out the rapid fire questions, what has been your favorite experience as a performer so far?
Favorite experience as a performer? Well, that was a couple of months ago. We put together a sort of fundraising gig for the New South Wales floods a couple of months ago called Your Mates Down South. We did sort of all the organization for that and got some really awesome bands on the bill to sort of headline the night. But just playing at that gig and playing in front of this crowd of people who had all been brought together for such a good cause, it was just really special, and the vibe was really good that night.
That's really cool. That's awesome.
Thanks. Yeah, I'd say yeah, that was the highlight.
Yeah, wow. So before we talk about your new EP, I wanted to talk about your new single, Cold Shoulder. So congratulations on that,
Thank you very
which
much.
at the time of recording today premiered yesterday on Triple J Unearthed
Yeah, that's right.
and is released everywhere this Friday. So can you tell us a little bit about this really fun new track?
Yeah, for sure. So we're very excited to get this track out. It's going to be the first track of another EP that we have coming up. That's going to be out in August. Um, so this track, when we write all our songs, usually we'll get together and jam for about an hour and sort of come up with ideas and you know come up with a song out of that. So this EP is a little different in the sense that Dean wrote a lot of it by himself in lockdown. So I guess that's a kind of different origin compared to our other tracks. And the track itself is one of the last songs that he wrote about one of his ex-girlfriends and a pretty toxic relationship that's actually characterized a number of our songs. And it sort of feels to him, I guess, like an end of an era in terms of like talking about that and rehashing that experience.
And this song that comes out on Friday is coming right off the back of the EP which released last month, I believe. So a lot of releasing, a lot of making music. Obviously, your band's been together for a long time, but has this year, particularly in these last few months, been a time of productivity and inspiration?
Absolutely, yeah. This year has just kind of been nonstop, which is something that we're all very grateful for. It's been keeping us busy, and it's been a bit stressful at times, but it's great to see that we're just sort of picking up a bit of momentum and releasing a lot, playing a lot. Even now at the moment, one of the reasons I'm doing this interview virtually is because Dean has gone away for 2 months to Argentina, and I've also taken the gap to come up to the state's north coast. But even while we're all separate and while we're not able to play shows, we've been, preparing for releases and getting a whole lot of things going in the works so we can set up the rest of the year. I guess it's been a very busy time.
Yeah, wow. Being a Before the King fan, hearing that Dean's going to Argentina is like, hey, that's a song.
It's no coincidence. It is no coincidence, but yeah, that is it's on brand for us, I suppose.
So speaking of Argentina, a big congratulations to you guys on the new EP, different combinations of the same. So according to the band's Instagram, the record was 7 years in the making. What can you tell us about that long process?
Right, yeah, so that's absolutely right. It was 7 years in the making. Fast Machine, which is one of the tracks, it was one of the first songs we wrote together as a band way back in 2015, I believe it was. And the rest of the tracks have, I guess, accumulated over the years, and even recording that EP happened over 3 different recording sessions at the Brain Studios in Sydney, the first of which was 2019, the last was 2021. And really, it's just sort of felt like it's been, this EP has sort of captured a lot of the work that we've done over the last 7 years, both as songwriters and you know, sort of growing as a band. And so it really feels like, I guess, releasing it was sort of the end of this era, per se.
Yeah, interesting. So, after all of that, and this EP really encapsulating so much of your career, I suppose, it must have been incredibly rewarding, or at least a relief. How do you feel now that the 10 tracks are all out?
Definitely relieved. I think that's a big one. It sort of feels very nice to have this body of work out there and to sort of reflect, I guess, on the last 7 years and have that just sort of out, I guess. But I guess, another reason feels so sort of relieving and so satisfying, I guess, is because now we can move on and instead of playing the same songs that we've been playing for the last 7 years, move on to new stuff like our new EP that's coming out and new stuff that we've been writing.
So, Dawn Chorus is a fantastic opening to the album with a lot of energy and a captivating style. What was the thought process behind not having any lyrics in the first number of the set?
Well, that came about. That was something we used to do at our live shows. Actually, that's the way we used to start our live shows when we were playing songs from that era. And we'd start with that kind of chant, and we'd end the same way, in that kind of sort of cyclical way. I guess it's really just sort of feels like a sort of call to arms, kind of at the beginning of our shows and the beginning of the EP, just to kind of get everyone's attention and sort of make a statement like, this is us, we're here, check us out.
It is really cool. I feel like when listening to the EP, it has that same kind of feel of being at a show with that building up introduction, and it just pumps you up, and it encapsulate that heavy hitting sound, and it's a really powerful beginning to the record.
Thanks very much. And certainly we we try to sort of capture live energy where we can and as best we can when we're playing, but it's certainly our goal.
So building on that, do you feel like the songs you've written inform the live show as much as the live show informs what you're writing?
That's a really good question, actually. I think not always. I think if I had to answer that, would probably be that the songs were written first, and then we sort of adapted them in a live context or used them in a live context in specific ways. For example, the song "You Might Think You're Right" off the first EP is a song that we just wrote, in a rehearsal session one time, and wrote it for the purposes of writing a song, but has since become sort of a staple of our live shows and something that we sort of highlight when we're playing live. So I guess the short answer to that would be we write the songs first, and then we sort of they find their place in our live set.
So, we talked about the song Argentina a little bit before, and you said it wasn't a coincidence that Dean was there. What is that? What does the country have? What meaning does the country have for your band?
Right. Well, I suppose this may be more Dean's story to tell, and you know, I'll I'll tell it the best I can, in his absence. But a number of his ex-girlfriends have all been Argentinian. We love Argentinian music and Argentinian culture. Just Latin American music in general is something that inspires our songwriting and something that we're all really into. And so I guess it was just Argentina as a song was our sort of our ode to the country and to that culture and a sort of celebration of that.
Yeah, nice. It really feels like an international song. It's a good one.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a fun one. And it's
Yeah.
we enjoyed writing.
A couple of tracks on this EP, including Fast Machine, have music videos, which are all very very creative, very visually cool. Uh, how involved are the band members, including yourself, in bringing these songs into a visual medium?
Well, we've been really lucky to work with the same director for a number of our music videos. His name's Todd Logan. And when we started working with him, on the video for Mary Lou, we sort of came in with an idea in mind, and we worked with him on that. But and I guess to a degree is the same with Fast Machine, but the more he's worked with us, the more we've actually seen him take over with his creative input, which is something they're actually really happy about because he's a very talented director, and I think he really connects with the music that we make and is able to really kind of channel that into a visual setting very well.
So your song "Fast Machine" is very tonally different from your other songs. Do you think that's just from a change in style over the 7 years of your band being together?
I think it probably would be. I think that's a fair assessment. And looking back at when we wrote that, sort of, I guess, we were channeling a lot more of, say, the Black Keys, the Foo Fighters to a degree, Green Day to a degree, and over time we've sort of leaned more into like the Arctic Monkeys and the Strokes, and those have become our primary influences. But that definitely captures some of our early influences, I think.
So we've talked a bit about gigging. You've done a number of shows throughout Sydney over the years. With all of your experience, what are some of your favorite venues to perform at?
Favorite venues? Well, um, good question. Waywoods is a fun venue. I love playing at Waywoods. There's always a good vibe there, and it's lovely sort of like in a break in the set or sort of while you're waiting around to just go out onto the balcony and look out over King Street and just sort of take in, Newtown and take in the sort of energy of the street. So love playing at Waywoods. Definitely the coolest venue we've played in Sydney was way back in 2016 when we were still in high school. We had the opportunity to play on the roof of the MCA the, in the city down there, and that was a youth kind of concert, sort of targeting like local young bands, and yeah, there's just sort of it was just nothing like it's nothing like sort of playing and looking out over the harbour and the harbour bridge and the opera house. It was a unique experience.
When we were under 18, Gen X, I think it was called, the
That's exactly
MCAs.
what it was. Yeah,
That they were always a lot of fun because I guess it was the closest you could get to that local live music scene, and that venue's just quite amazing.
it is. Yeah, it was a really cool initiative and a fun concert series.
So what do you normally look for in a venue?
Um, Good sound is you know when we can get it is sort of definitely a priority of ours. We've played some gigs with absolutely shocking sound before, as I'm sure every young band in Sydney has. Um, yeah, good sound is definitely a plus. If it's sort of in quite a busy area with a lot of potential for people just stopping by and walking in off the street, that's always a plus as well. Yeah, and there's just I think those are the main two. And if it has a cool aesthetic, or if it's if there has something quirky or interesting about it, then that's just a bonus, I suppose.
For sure. So, on your Instagram bio, uh, it's your band is described as the best damn opening band in the world. What are the challenges of opening for another act, and how does your band overcome them?
Right, challenges for opening for another act. Well, okay, well, the immodest answer, and this is a joke, I will not stick by this. The immodest answer is to say, oh, well, it's hard when we're just better than every other band in Sydney, so, it's hard to always be showing them up all the time. No, that is not my answer. But what I will say is sometimes it can be quite tricky um, playing a set before a band that is like a wildly different genre to yours. we've played with some punk bands before, played with an alternative country band before, which was very interesting. And sometimes because of that, the crowd that's come to see this headliner aren't always so receptive of your band.
So in August, you're hitting the infamous Lansdowne with support from the incredible Allardyce, who we've had the privilege of having on the show, and Lariska, who's scheduled to join us in the near future. Why should anyone listening to this interview definitely come to this show?
Okay, well, I think I can conclusively say that on the 27th of August this year, that is the event to go to in Sydney. That is going to be the best night. As you mentioned, it's a really cool lineup, both Allardyce and Lariska, very talented bands, and we're feel very honored to be playing with them. Obviously, if anyone out there has listened to us before or having listened to this podcast will go out and listen to us, really recommend checking us out live. Our shows we try and make them a lot of fun and a very high energy, so certainly recommend checking us out in that context. And if nothing else, I mean, it's just fantastic to see the Lansdowne back and running again because, there was talk that it might get shut down for good. So the fact that it's been saved and the fact that it's now back and operating is great. And it's one of the best venues in Sydney. So plenty of reasons to check out that show.
Yeah, it's great just to see live music in Sydney thriving and continuing to live, even though all the challenges we've had in the last few years. So what on Instagram you have teased that a whole lot of new music is on the way. What can you tell us about the future of Before the King?
Right. Well, so as I mentioned earlier, we've got our new EP out on the 5th of August. That hasn't actually been announced yet, so this is the first anyone's hearing of that. It'll be out on the 5th of August. It's called All That You Know. It's 5 tracks that we recorded in February at Golden Retriever Studios. Cold Shoulder is going to be the first single from that, and yeah, just keep an eye on our socials for announcements in the coming weeks about the rest of that.
Well, thank you very much for that cheeky scoop.
Sure,
Really
and
appreciate the exclusive.
while we're teasing things, and if I haven't run any of this by the band, so if they were here, they'd probably be like, stop talking, But between you guys and me, we also are about to announce a tour that we have in August. Lansdowne will be the last show in that run of dates, but that'll be a 7-date run up and down New South Wales, which I'm sure you'll hear more details about very soon.
That's incredibly exciting. So to anyone listening, make sure you're following the band on their social media to make sure you're kept up to date as soon as all this exciting news is announced.
So we won't keep you for much longer, but we've got one final question to ask that we ask all of our guests. So every week we ask our guests to give us 2 songs, one of their own songs from their band and another from their favorite artist or from another song to add to our Uni Tunes playlist. So which 2 songs would you like to choose?
Right. Well, this may seem like a boring answer, but of our songs, I'd probably have to say Cold Shoulder. I mean, we're really excited to have that out there, and we feel very proud of it and very happy with it. So I think it would hopefully make quite a good addition to your playlist. And for another song, I guess looping back to the very first question you asked me, being, what am I listening to at the moment? What's my favorite band? Probably have to include a Strokes song. And so I'd probably pick New York City Cops off Is This It? I think it's one of my favorites, and everyone should get around that song.
That's a great addition. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, and thank you very much for having me on the show today. It's been great chatting with you guys.
It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and hear from a bit of insight from your band. Go stream Cold Shoulder on Friday, and also give it a review on Triple J Unearthed. But yeah, go listen to Before the King. It's an absolute brilliant Sydney band, and their talent really shines through their studio recordings And me personally, I'm very excited to see them in August perform. So thank you very much for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you later.
Yeah, for sure.
That's all, folks.
Thank you for listening to